All right, good morning, cyber traders. Welcome on back here this Tuesday, June 8th, shortly after 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Welcome on back here for our morning meeting here, live inside Cyber Group. Great to see Leda, Norman, Randy, Grant, all of our students and members alike inside our trading room. Great to see everybody. It looks like you can hear me loud and clear from Ray and Debbie as well. Perfect. And for all of us on social media, welcome on back, Facebook and YouTube Live. So without further ado, we got to hop right into the thick of things because we ended up having such a strong close yesterday. I got to talk about that. I got to talk about the morning, of course, yesterday as well. What happened after just about 24 hours ago from this point yesterday. So if you don't follow me here in the afternoons, then we'll recap what we ended up putting on our morning list from yesterday, and then of course at the end we'll look to rescan the top percent gainers and losers list heading into the market open. So from yesterday, and really we'll start off on this NEXT trade. It's up even more this morning in pre-market, so would have gotten to it anyway. But this was more of like a late morning, early afternoon type of play. It was very choppy after the market opened up. I forgot what the news was on this trade that led to the pre-market pop early after 7 a.m. But man, it was trending down going into the market open. So for that reason, personally, I'm expecting some more of a consolidation pattern to build first before the ultimate pop. That's not a foolproof guarantee, but that's what would happen more often than not. So ended up paying off here, at least ended up avoiding this chop early on, and more so heading into the late morning. Like I said, this is where I ended up making my call out on this trade off the 320 level. Big iceberg order on the ask. It was popping and dropping from there. That 325 was like the top, but once it broke over 320 here, it ended up making a nice move up afterwards, steady at least off the lows as it moved up towards just about 340, 345, and then heading into the final 30 minutes of the afternoon yesterday, we ended up following this just as an afternoon trade, ended up just popping higher. So the theory is to see a stock close at or near the highs at the end of the day. Oftentimes you'll tend to see it move up more, whether it be the after hours, whether it be the pre-market the following morning. Again, not foolproof, not 100% guarantee for anyone on YouTube and Facebook Live that's not inside our live trading room. Don't just take that to heart and just do that the next time you see a stock at the highs. That said, though, well, we ended up seeing this make a nice little pop, like pretty much after the close here at first. Obviously the pullback, but man, this ended up making a nice continuation early in pre-market here. So this next trade most recently ended up breaking out above a resistance right off of $4.30. I'm actually going to show what we would call level 4 book map. I know, of course, Fausto shows this when he does the meeting. We always like to show it when we have the chance. Typically when I'm at my home office, it's kind of more of a circus act for me to bring this up at least. But here I am. Let's just show what happened, at least off the pop. We ended up seeing early buying on this trade prior to 8 a.m. right off of 423, 419, just in the build. And then just out of nowhere, going into 8:45 Eastern time, it ended up beginning to break out above resistance 425 initially, and then, iceberg order pulled from 430. So that's what led to this short squeeze up. I'm hopeful to see continuation after the market opens. Definitely going to put this on our watch list to begin. No problem in just doing that right away. Again, we'll scan the gainers and losers list just in just a few moments here. But man, I got to talk about another stock that ended up making a big move. I mean, there were a bunch of stocks that popped yesterday from our morning watch list, afternoon list, but the CLOV trade, another one that's up even more this morning, up about 25 to 28%, right? Even more, 36%. Geez, I thought it was 25. I guess when I was looking at it most recently, it was 35, not 25. But sheesh, even more now, up to 37+% up higher this morning. But let's talk about the move that we ended up catching more from yesterday. We ended up seeing this stock make this consolidation pattern after the market opened up, but shortly after, kind of similar to the next trade. This ended up making a nice trend off the lows as it broke higher. So we ended up seeing the stock make a re-break off of 10, and that's what allowed this stock to make the move that it made higher. Of course, this being one of the Reddit plays, the AMC, BlackBerry, Bed Bath Beyond. I could go down the list at this point with like 10.5 million, 11 million subscribers on that Reddit channel. Wall Street Bets. They're trading everything that we're calling out otherwise. We don't need them to make the call outs, but when you see that kind of out there as a headline, CLOV now being one of the more popular plays from that Reddit community, I mean, we've seen history repeat itself just in the last week, but go back to AMC and BlackBerry and, Express and so forth back from late January, just when that started. It goes to show that group mentality will kind of, see a stock squeeze up a bit. So, this being a heavily shorted stock ended up making a really nice move up after the open, broke out off that 10 level, like I had said. And heading into the afternoon, this ended up making the squeeze back up going into the close. I was really hopeful for the pop over 12, and it ended up making that move just there there in the after hours, just as a trade heading into the close. I ended up doing a rare trade where I ended up buying this at like 1191. I thought there was a complementary resistance at 1191. I was, hoping and assuming for this to blow over 12, before the close. I didn't want to turn it into a swing trade because that's not really what I was looking to do. And God bless if I did, it would have worked out handsomely this morning. But once this ended up actually closing, this led to a great after hours trade either way, whether you're swing trading or just going to make it a day trade. Once it breaks above that 12, that's what allowed it to make the free run up over 1250 and then ultimately over 13 and so on and so forth. So the CLOV trade, again, just, a stock from yesterday that we ended up doing really well on, stock from even last week and so forth. But today, obviously, same to be said, we're going to keep this on our list here. All right, let's keep the good times going. How about OCGN from yesterday, huh? This was more of like a dump off going into the close, which was pretty disappointing, but more so heading into the late morning and then into the afternoon. This ended up being a great play once again. I think this was just another Reddit stock again, and we're familiar with this stock as a COVID vaccine play just over the last several months. So we've seen them make these big moves up. They're normally easy to borrow, so they're normally actually a really good short opportunity given the right moment, given the right opportunity there. But this morning they're hard to borrow. Hey, for as much as it moved up yesterday, it's not impossible for this to move even higher today. But just be wary of that dump off just if the volume begins to wane off. And what I mean by that is look at the volume wane off here. And obviously it broke out more later on, but it was a long build up to it. So when the volume dies off, the momentum does. When the momentum does, oftentimes the stock does. And, obviously if it doesn't die off, there's a chance for an afternoon breakout later on once it re-breaks above resistance, once there's more buying on the tape and, just shows on the volume spikes here. But, again, same to be said for this morning. You would hope to see history repeat itself, maybe see this make a slingshot down from 10 or a 990 price, kind of where it dipped down to going into the close yesterday. But again, OCGN, another nice stock from yesterday that will just kind of like re-add to our list already. All right, I'm like looking down this list here and looking down the morning and afternoon watch list. Practically everything that was on the list yesterday is moving here in pre-market. I may as well just start from the top of the gainers list and just go down. Really, I could just go down the gainers or go down the watch list from yesterday and go through them all, like CLNE and RMed and BB, of course, and Workhorse, another Reddit stock, of course, that we've been trading, and long before the Reddit crowd picked that up, we were trading it. But let's just start from the top here. CLOV, we already went over. And then from here, you got the warrants actually as the top percent gainer. CLOV warrants is your top percent gainer. So don't let that distract you from this one. This is the equity. This is the Class C stock, but this is the one trading a lot more liquidity on the order book, a lot more volume traded on this per minute. So this is the one that we're following. The warrant is CLOVW. Very similar move, mind you, but just with lack of liquidity, if CLOV itself has a major drop off, it's going to make for a drop off here, and this will be harder to get out of. So, I wouldn't be too interested in the warrant this morning. SONM, interesting play here. Sonim Technologies. It's a cheapie. I'm normally not too big into the cheapies, but nice move up. And I say that because this is below $1. This isn't like a penny stock, mind you, but it's just that these stocks below $1 normally do not make as clean or swift of a move that would be as easy to capitalize on. So on this, yes, you could trade several thousand shares, like 10, 20,000 shares, no problem. But otherwise, just once the volume dies off, you just don't want to be stuck hoping and holding on to 10, 20,000 shares of any stock, regardless of price. So, it looks good off the lows. I'm probably not going to focus on it as much this morning. That's right. The Wen trade, WEN, I was going to say, is this Wendy's? WEN Wendy's. So Wendy's trading higher amid increased retail investor interest in the stock. That doesn't really seem too specific on news. That's the last headline that I have here. That's the only thing that I have on this Wendy's trade. WEN says when trading higher amid increased retail investor interest in the stock. So it goes to show there doesn't need to be like a really, creative, strong headline for a stock to make a big move. Maybe Benzinga Pro here is slacking on the real headline. Who knows? But nonetheless, for the meantime, WEN, we talked about this early before I started the morning meeting. It was myself that even mentioned it. Our students were the first one to comment on it. This stock had a crazy spread. This thing had thin volume on the order book. So, of course, dropping back down, you could get out on this trade and not really take a huge hit based on the spread, but based on how fast this stock moved up, you got to expect this stock to begin to pull back down. Not to say completely, but if it does, well, you're going to get stuck catching the falling knife, so to say there. Latest says Kramer made a comment, she thinks. That would normally pop up on this here too. All right, well, either way, not really too reliable as that guy Kramer. So, WEN, just given the volatility, I'll put it on our list, for any of our level 4 to 5 traders out there that do really well on a stock like this, then, look to follow it. Give it a shot. All right, CYRN here, another cheapie. This one not nearly making as good of a move, at least compared to the last one. PDSB popped early after 8 a.m. Kind of thin volume it popped from, and pulled back. I don't really know, not really too interested in that just yet. AYTU, this is a stock that we are familiar with, and unfortunately now it's for the wrong reasons. This stock has been more of a tease now than anything, but this stock ended up making some big moves for us back last year, back in March and April, with all of the vaccine talks initially. INOs, SRNE, Sorrento, VXRT, Vaxert. And AYTU, this was another one that ended up making a big push at that time, but you could just see on the daily chart, just from at the end of last year, pop and drop type play, and then here ended up making a big or decent run up, but then following that big pop and then drop back down pretty sharp after. So this stock's been more of a tease recently, but good volume on the order book, trading a lot of volume this morning already, 1.7 million shares practically. Stock trades about 430,000 shares on average a day. So that's a lot already compared to what it does on an average basis. It's got a 23 million share float, so it's not terribly low. I'll put it on our list, give it a shot. Hopefully it does make another, move back up. But the way this is trending here on the way down leading into the open, I would perhaps expect this to make a consolidation pattern first, and then hopefully, again, hope starts the belief. But otherwise, if it doesn't continue to build up, or if the volume just continues to wane down without a breaking resistance, I would just move on to another trade after the open should that happen. But we'll put this on our list. We're familiar with the stock at least. This lots trade, unfortunately, is basically making the move that I was expecting it to make. And, it's still possible for this to move up after the market opens, but this actually had a nice gap to fill. You see the gap here on the daily chart. Unfortunately, ended up filling it practically already. I mean, it went to, a high this morning, pre-market high of $6.40. You could just pretty much snap the line right here, roughly around 645, 643-ish, give or take. And again, it's not to say it's impossible to see this move up higher. It definitely is possible, but in pre-market at least, ended up backing off right from 640 itself. Volume died off, and it's holding strong for right now. I'll keep this on the side. Maybe I'll come back to this at the very end and just add this here. At least it's shortable. So if it does drop, maybe we can try and short it from there. Let's see what else we got though. Stitch Fix, SFIX, I think, right? I don't know if this was off of earnings. My belief would be yes. Either way, pretty out of range for a lot of us in the trading room. BBIG, nice squeeze early in the morning here after 8 o'clock. I didn't put this on the pre-market list here early, but I was considering it. Then it ended up making the push. We ended up seeing a resistance at the time off of $5.10. Let me just get Bookmap up here pretty quickly once again, and I'll just show this again for a couple more stocks. But on the BBIG trade for right now, it broke above 5, ended up building up to 510, not much resistance at first, and an order popped up in which it failed to break out higher from. So it shook back down pretty quick. There were a couple of orders on the bid looking to squeeze this stock up, and it seems like once it ended up breaking through volume that was on the bid after, that's what led to this sharp drop off. So, I'm going to put this on our list, I guess, for right now. Actually, you know what? I'm selling myself off that. I'm going to put it on the side next to lots. Come back to this at the end. Just given this drop off here, if it continues to break down, I'm not going to be as interested compared to probably some of the others. So, I'm a little particular this morning. I want to see what else we got first. IGC, this one looking pretty weak here. I mean, if it pops after the open, that would be very interesting to try and call out and trade. We talked about this yesterday afternoon. I wasn't as hopeful for this to make its big pop going into the close yesterday, but today it's definitely possible to see continuation, just not much of a trend going on here, right? So we're going to skip over this, even though I kind of like the stock. GOED, look at this thing try and continue to move up. Talk about a gap fill. This thing's been like through the spin cycle, up and down all over the place the last week. Ended up making a big pop in pre-market, a squeeze all the way up towards like 1650 where it opened. Broke down, and then I think news came out in the afternoon. This wasn't like an instant drop, but ended up dropping off just for as much as it moved up that pre-market. And then I think news came out. It could have been a common stock offering, if I'm not mistaken. Actually, I know I'm right on that. I think they priced it at like 225. That I could be wrong on the exact price, but nonetheless, that's what led to a huge drop on this trade. And from there, wow, it ended up beginning to squeeze up just yesterday, and this morning it looks pretty strong here. So the GOED definitely going to put this on the main list. Not the side list, the main list here at least. Good spread, good volume on the order book, nice trend after 8 o'clock, and it hasn't dropped off too much since and holding strong. So hopefully we'll see this continue to try and fill the gap. All right, Workhorse, another big name here. This one I put on the pre-market list, really active this morning. Again, the quote-unquote Reddit stocks all seem to be moving and up this morning. So AMC was building up to a resistance off of 58.50. BB BlackBerry's been squeezing up really nicely since 8 o'clock this morning. So for right now, definitely I'm just going to put Workhorse and BB on our list. Very heavily traded, and again, they're likely to follow in suit with AMC, perhaps, as that's now like one of the leaders in terms of the Reddit trades. To each their own, or not to each their own, but for each stock to be their own, so to say, in the sense of breaking through volume on the bid or the ask. They're trending similarly, but they're not trending exactly the same. So you're going to have correlation if you have a huge move up or down on AMC. But otherwise, though, you might happen to see CLOV be stronger at one point in time. You might happen to see BlackBerry be stronger at one point in time. They're all different stocks, and they're not going to, be exactly the same, but they will correlate off of stronger moves up or down. They're likely to follow AMC and a GameStop in that regard. So for right now, BlackBerry and Workhorse will add to our list. CLOV's already on there. Man, FCell's been on fire this morning too. Huh. And you can see the stock. This was more for like EV, as an EV play, this plug and a lot of others in that sector, but ended up making a huge run back at the end of 2020, ended up dumping off early on here. So just given the range up and down in such a short amount of time, it provides great opportunity given news coming out or whatever the case may be that leads to more activity early in pre-market. And that's what we're getting here. Best part of all, if this ends up dumping off, then of course this is shortable. So this would be a good short if things fall off at least. But for right now, holding strong over former resistance off of 1225-ish here. Perhaps it'll dip down there prior to the open, build support. Probably dip down at 12 after the open. So, watch out for 12 as a big support level, maybe even an 1190 after the market opens up. But definitely FCell will put, definitely on the top of our list here at the end of it all. All right, let's see what else we got. UAVS, another familiar name. Not a whole lot going on here in pre-market. Pretty flat. Probably drop down a 6 and begin to make its move from there. Ooh, DGLY just popped after 9 o'clock. Nice. So let's just go to Benzinga Pro on this. Just check the news on this DGLY trade. We only have about 11 minutes before the market opens. I got to make this fast. I don't know how Fausto does this for anyone on social media. I appreciate you sticking with me. He does this fast. He's good. I got to make these faster because I want to make sure that we have enough time to prep going into the open. But nonetheless, DGLY trading higher, circulating an article from the Wall Street Journal. U.S. mandates body cameras for federal law enforcement officers. All right, so we're not going to talk about our opinions on the topic, but the headline out, that's as to why this stock is making a huge move up. So for the meantime, definitely going to put this on our list, hopefully to see this make another run after the open. All right, I'll tell you right now, we have such a good list already. I'm probably just going to scrap the lots trade and the big trade, the BBIG, the ones I kind of put on the side. Let's see what else we got on the losers list. When I did my prep this morning, I ran down the losers list a couple times. There really wasn't much, so I don't want to, look lazy with just kind of skimming through here. But Riot and Mara, I think, are hard to borrow this morning. Cannon's down with Bitcoin also. I'll show Bitcoin when I do the afternoon meeting. I have more time there. Bitcoin ended up dropping off a lot more after I ended up going over it yesterday. When I talked about it yesterday afternoon, I was saying, it wasn't really down that much, and Cannon was down big. Riot and Mara were not down as much as Cannon was, but going into the close or after the market closed yesterday, we ended up seeing Bitcoin make a bit more of a drop. So that's what's leading to see Riot down 5%, Mara down the same. Canon shortable of them all. It's the only stock I kind of even wrote down on the losers column this morning when I did my prep. But this is like an ugly chart here, not really too much going on otherwise. So, unless if you're following that as a play with the market or with Bitcoin in particular, I would just pass. All right, so folks, let me know if there's anything else up, down, left, right, more than 5%, anything that I was maybe just ignorant of that, it looks good in your opinion, or something that I just missed that's making a huge pop or drop just right now. Let me know. Jorge says Tilray, which I love checking out. I love Tilray as a stock. Ended up following it from yesterday at least. This morning, it's just pretty volatile, or not volatile, very active, I should say. Trading almost 1 million shares in pre-market this morning. Great volume on the order book. So it's a great side list stock, Jorge. I'm not going to put this on the main list, in the special main list going into the open. But this is definitely one where if you do well on day to day, you watch this stock and do well on it. If not day to day, then week to week, I would definitely look to follow this stock then in that case. Otherwise, if not, then, hey, just I would stick with the watch list there. There's a lot to go around this morning. So, if there's a stock I don't put on the main list, but if it looks good in your opinion, and again, if you do well on it more often than not, week over week, let's say, then definitely look to follow it going into the open. CLOV pop. CLOV pop and drop. Unfortunately, right back down under that 1650 level. So I'd be really careful on that going into the open from that price. From Norman, the AHT trade. This one is up just about 6%. Didn't find it on the gainer side here. I was just kind of, going down quick. There it is, number 48. There we go. But nice trend, right? I mean, hey, it's up, it's cheap, good spread. Out of, what we're looking at so far, at least, I do like this, the AHT trade. All right, I think that just about does it from Andrew M on YouTube. Good morning. I didn't see that comment till right now. All right, so folks, I think that just about does it, folks. I think we're good to go going into the open. How many do we have here? We got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 stocks to work with. I usually like to max out at 12, no more. So you know what? Not too bad. For all of us in social media, I appreciate you sticking with me here. We actually have our Traders Talk workshop for all of us live inside Cyber Group this morning, not for social media. We did that a few weeks back. We typically do that a couple times a year for you folks there. But if you're looking to join us, at least for Traders Talk this morning, our weekly workshop we typically host in our live trading room, feel free to join us. Go right down to the link on the banner below for all of our students there. Of course, you folks just stay right there. We'll resume our audio commentary here in just about 7 or 6 minutes from right now. All right, I'll talk to you all soon. Take care.